Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name's Jason London. I'm lead clinical faculty with rehabilitation of the injured cyclist, as well as rehabilitation of the injured runner. And today we're going to be talking some more bike fitting. And again, I'm out of the basement and back in the clinic. With me is Megan Peach of Run Smart, Run Strong, Run Happy. And she has been also TAing with the rehab of the injured runner course. So what we're going to talk about today is fore and aft position of the shoe or of the foot on the pedal. So if you come down right here, and what we're going to look at is the placement of the foot on the pedal. And this is for a variety of reasons, but mainly what we want to do is to decrease strain on the forefoot as well as decrease strain on the Achilles, because both hot foot, which can be either Morton's neuroma or metatarsalgia, as well as Achilles tendinopathy, are common cycling-related injuries. And we can usually address those with just making some simple changes in the bike. So what we want to do is with these cleats, so these are called clipless pedals, meaning it has a cleat. It's a little bit of a misnomer. And this derives from the days of when they used to have toe cages and they were calling those clips. So clipless pedals means that you're actually clipping into the bike. And we want to get landmarks on the shoe for where the first and the fifth metatarsal heads are. Because historically we're wanting to put the cleat, or historically they've recommended putting the cleat right on the center of the ball of the foot. So the ball of the foot is right over the axis of the pedal or the pedal spindle, which is this position of the bike right there. Now, as mountain biking has grown as a sport, and especially as they've switched to flat pedals, meaning that shoes where they're not clipping in or out, there's been a movement to actually put the foot further forward on the pedal so that actually that ball of the foot is just slightly forward of the axis of the pedal or the pedal spindle. Now there is no disadvantage to having the foot further forward, as so far with looking at studies there's no difference in efficiency with having the foot where the ball of the foot is right over the pedal axis, or if the ball of the foot is just slightly forward, or if the ball of the foot is greatly forward, with looking at studies from Van Sickle in 2007, as well as Padun in 2009, showing no difference in VO2 with those different foot positions. Now, these were relatively small studies with professional cyclists and healthy cyclists. And what we're trying to do in a clinical setting really is, ideally, we do want to have increased performance for our patients, but we're really trying to decrease pain and allow them to continue cycling. And so to move the cleat, once you've identified those two locations, you want to look at the relationship of the cleat to those two locations. And mine is pretty dirty here, so I actually need to clean it out. Maybe. So a good little dental pick works well just for getting that out. Should have been more prepared here. But otherwise, it's pretty hard to move. And a good rule of thumb to remember, is it can get confusing, especially when you have someone right in front of you and you're making changes on their bike, is that we want to move the cleat in the opposite direction that we want to move the foot. So you're going to take a hex key here, and again, mine is positioned where we want to, right, pretty much in line with the fifth metatarsal head, so where my ball of the foot is just slightly in front of the pedal axis. But let's say that wasn't positioned correctly, and a lot of times this is stuck on here, especially these are my mountain bike shoes, so they get stuck with dirt. But you can then slide the cleat forward and aft. And you can also do medial and lateral, and we'll save that for another day. But for the fore and aft position, we're just sliding the cleat forward and backward, again, to change the foot position on the pedal. And so here now we're closer in line with the first metatarsal head. And if I were to do that, I'd likely feel a lot more strain in my calf. So if I had Achilles tendinopathy, that would be a poor position for that. And so we could likely reduce symptoms automatically by just moving that cleat further back and moving the foot further forward on the pedal. Same thing if we have Morton's neuroma or metatarsalgia. A lot of cyclists will refer to that as hot foot, and that kind of encompasses both of those diagnoses. And that's typically because a cycling shoe is pretty narrow, so you are getting that compression across the transverse arch of the foot. And if you're really up on your toes, that's putting more pressure on the front of the foot too. So we can reduce that by moving that cleat back to the fifth metatarsal head. And again, this should almost instantly reduce symptoms and allow someone to bike or cycle longer than they had just prior to the appointment when they came in to see you. So again, for really addressing Achilles tendinopathy and hot foot, we're moving that cleat back. And again, when we're doing a bike fit, there's really just kind of three main contact points, and those are the points that we're really addressing. So we're always starting out with the first contact point, where it is the connection of our body to the bike through the pedal, where we're generating power through our legs and transferring that through the drivetrain of the bike. So we have the pedals as one contact point, the saddle as a second contact point, and then our hands on the bars as a third contact point. So for addressing hot foot and Achilles tendinopathy, we're wanting to move that cleat further back. There really has been no studies so far to show improved efficiency with differences in position in the fore and aft position of the cleat. However, if someone is having less pain while they're cycling, that certainly is going to increase their efficiency and performance. So we can tell our patients that way. Or sometimes you get cyclists who are pretty type A about the position of the bike, and you can reassure them that it's not going to decrease efficiency by moving their cleat back. That's all I was going to cover today. If you're interested in learning more about bike fitting, I am teaching the Rehabilitation of the Injured Cyclist course coming up in October. I think it's the second weekend of October in St. Paul, as well as I'm giving a lecture for virtual ICE or Virtual Institute for Clinical Excellence upcoming later in the fall. And so tune in to ptonice.com to look at both of those. Or if you're interested in learning more about rehabilitation of the injured runner, Megan and I will be in Augusta, Georgia in November, and I'm giving a lecture next week for Virtual ICE again. Thanks again for your attention, and happy Friday.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review, and be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our Virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.